Hey folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Today, Wednesday, May 6th, 2009. Well, we're seeing a mixed day on Wall Street today. You see the market kind of trending to the upside slightly. The interesting thing about it is we saw a pretty big gap up initially this morning across the board on the markets, and then we saw kind of a fade the gap where the market gapped higher and then faded all the way back down, closing the gap and going to gap fill. Now, what was this on? Well, this morning and last night you had news from Bank of America that they needed $34 billion more in equity or capital to kind of pass the stress test. Well, that's not exactly true. That was released initially last night. The futures dumped out on it. Then this morning the clarification was made that they can use money from earnings. They can use money by converting preferred into common. There's a lot of different ways to be able to maneuver themselves into this, folks, so they can kind of get through that without having to actually raise this additional capital. All right. So that was a big bonus. And what we saw is Bank of America stock initially this morning, and again, you don't see it because I don't have the pre-market data on this chart, but believe it or not, you were trading all the way down here around $9.50 about 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time to 8 o'clock Eastern Time this morning. And then as soon as that clarification came through, the market started to rally up. And in fact, Bank of America spiked all the way up here to the open around $12, sold off initially with the market, and then has been floating up ever since, up $1.50 today on the day at around $12.30. That's a tremendous move higher, folks. Absolutely phenomenal move higher on this market, and has to be respected. Now the spiders, let's go back to the spiders, because right around the opening area of the market, we had right at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we had jobs ADP number coming out, which again gives us a general idea of how the jobs number, the unemployment number may look on Friday. Now this number actually was very, very good compared to what people were expecting. It was only 491,000, and that number, in fact, spiked the futures up. And I can show you the futures here pre-market. I'll bring up the futures chart for everyone to see. And you can see here, this is the intra data, but let me actually go here and just bring this into view here. All right, and you can see initially, this is when the jobs number came out, folks. So you had the jobs initially number coming out right here at 8:15, and the market spiking up initially on that pre-market. So everything goes into the market and the open on the market very positively. And what do we see? A massive gap up on the ES here and on the spiders. And let me show you the spiders here with my trend lines. Now this, believe it or not, you see the gap up right here. We gapped right into a key trend line, and I put this on initially right at the open so everyone could see it. And what you do see in this situation is, if you take a look, take the yellow line right here. All right, you take it from the high on the 30th and connect it right to the high at the end of the 4th right here. All right, you can see the 4th day right here connected to that high, which is also the high on the 5th. And you drag that line right across, and it just so happens we gapped right into that level. So right away, I talked to the chat room. We were talking about it. Let's see what happens here. Do we pull off this resistance point? You know, kind of analyzing the market overall here and seeing where we would go. And just like going into any good fashioned hardcore resistance line, the market started to pull back, got a little bounce, retested, and then really started to collapse down. You went all the way down to the 20 moving average here and gap fill. Now, this is key, guys. Anyone that knows technicals knows that when you come down to that level of gap fill, it's good support. If you have the 20 moving average there, it's even better. And sure enough, the market gets a bid right off of there, bounces up, comes down, retests that same level, that 20 moving average, and then starts to rally up. Now, the interesting thing about this, and something I've been harping on in my nightly videos to my premium subscribers, and as we focus on the technicals and the hardcore analysis of the markets and the oil front and the dollar and gold and all these different things along with stocks, is that we've been noting over the last 2 weeks, when this market's floated higher, the market has had no volume behind it. And I want to point that out again. Notice today, we had decent volume pre-market, very, very good volume pre-market, but look at what happened. Okay? So here's good volume. But right away, right around 10 o'clock, 10:30, the volume starts to dry up. In fact, right here, it starts to see how the line gets very, very small. In fact, I could even redo that. So you really see right here how it starts to get less and less and just angle itself down more and more so going into the midday time frame. Well, look at what happens. Look at how that coincides. So you have decent volume here early in the morning for the first hour, and then all of a sudden, just as we lose that volume, the market starts to rebound higher and float higher. And this is a direct component of what we've been seeing later. This is exactly what we've been seeing over the past couple weeks, where the markets have distinctly floated up on light volume, and that's not a good sign. When you look at the health of the market, now granted, this market has had a great up move, but what you have to remember is that's not a good sign in the overall market conditions when you have an up move with light volume and the down moves come with heavier volume. It means that there's not a lot of buyers behind the up move. There's just no sellers selling at this point. Now, if those sellers come out of the woodwork and the volume picks up, you expect the market to possibly sell. We have seen a nice little pullback here, although you just came into a major support line at this chart. And I want to show you that support line as well. So let me erase this one line up here and show you. So again, you floated up on light volume right about this 12:30 time frame, and then ever since then till about 1:15, you started to sell off beautifully. And the sell-off has been on pretty light volume, although we want to see if it increases. But note this purple line. See the purple line, which is from the high here on the 5th? This line right here. See, stretches right here and happens to coincide with this point right here. Now, notice how the market pierced that today, but rebounded back above it and was able to get back. Now you're right at that same support line here again, and you're seeing a little bit of a tail formation. Also, this blue line has been a very, very good trend line where the market has just kind of hovered on either side of it, floating back and forth around this blue line. Now, ideally, what you're going to need to see here, folks, is you've seen a little bit of a break of the 20 moving average, but what you need to see here is confirmation of that break and a confirmation of the blue line break. Then you want to see a break of the pink line right here, and then a test of the 50 moving average. The 50 moving average so far today has not been tested, and it was tested yesterday and it rallied back off of it. But again, here in kind of the purple color, this wavy line right here is the 50 moving average. You need to see that tested today, and even if it gets tested, that's going to be a solid amount of support. Right now, if it gets tested, believe it or not, it's only a double bottom on the day. Notice how the low here is coinciding with the 50 moving average. The other thing I want to just point out, as we're speaking, see the purple line, see the pink line right here? Support. Look at the bounce you're getting. In addition, you may rebound above the 20 moving average and above the blue line, in which case that's not confirming the breakdown. You closed below it, but you have to confirm with a secondary close lower than that point. Right now, you pierced it, went to support, and now you're rebounding up. So I think that's something very important to note here. The market is starting to get a good bounce off that level and has to be watched very, very carefully in this situation. All right, if you rebound back above, you could be in charge in a possible scenario where the markets move back towards this pivot high and then ultimately maybe the highs of the day up here. All right, so those are your levels. I'm going to read off the levels I want you to follow. But again, just to rehash here, the market this morning getting a bid off of Bank of America as it was getting slaughtered early, and then the clarification on the news, which again is a little fishy here as more of these leaks are just coming out of the stress test. And by the way, this is done on purpose, guys. I hope everyone realizes this. These stress test leaks are done on purpose to gauge the market's reaction to a little bit of news here and a little bit of news there. Absolutely done on purpose, as the government wants to see, do I have to tweak what I say next time? Let's drop a little bit of this tidbit out. Let's see how market reacts. Okay, the market reacted well, then we can put out this bit. Let's test this bit now. Well, ultimately, all of it's coming out tomorrow, but in all fairness, I think we know everything already. We know that 10 banks need to raise capital. Bank of America, we heard Wells Fargo today needs $15 billion, but the same thing applies in that range for Wells Fargo, that they can do it in the same way that Bank of America is able to do it. So it's not that big a deal. We all knew this stress test was a farce, so it's not a big deal, but long story short, they've been doing it in a very, smart way on their part to release these little tidbits, test the market. How's it reacting? Then when they release the next news, they know whether or not they have to kind of tweak it a little bit to get the market to react differently or more positively. So far, though, it's been all positive. The markets continue to be all right. NASDAQ is weak today. You actually have Apple down $1.80, Amazon down at 75 cents. So a little weakness in the tech sector, but for the most part, commodities like oil having a phenomenal day again today, and bank stocks helping the market stay afloat here, helping the market stay above the lows of the day right now. Okay, last but not least, again, let's just go over our key levels to watch for the rest of the day. We'll cover them each one. Number one, this is the level you're watching right now, this blue trend line in the 20 moving average at about 91.10. We're really right on that right now. We're trading at 91.09. That is the level you want to watch. If we close above it on this candle, you could see a move all the way back up here to 91.50. If you break that, then you're going to look for 91.75 as the high of the day, give or take a penny there. On the downside, if you close below and you start to confirm this move down, support at the blue, pre-pink trend line here at $90.90. And then after that, the 50 moving average and the lows of the day right here. And again, I can draw that line in right here at around $90.65, $90.60 at that point. All right, if you happen to break that, then you're actually going to look for this pivot low from yesterday, which would be around 89.90, 89.80 on the SPY. Again, you're looking at the intraday 10-minute chart of the SPY. Now, before I just get into the 60-minute chart, guys, and show you this, what I want to just make clear is that we have a webinar this Saturday. We hope you come and join us. Our methodology is getting hardcore into the technicals and how to calculate it for yourselves and really understand our methodology behind that. that. Also, we always hope that you come and join the Research Center to get the premium guidance and education, as it's a both all-in-one educational and guidance type of service there. And again, we hope you join. Always the chat room's always available. We love that. We have a great group in there, big group, but a great group at that in the chat room. Okay, so just looking at the 60-minute chart, see this blue trend line for this channel? See the blue trend line channel? Just keep in mind, if we fall in that, that could be a negative. You could see a little dump. Take care.